everyone, welcome back or welcome to my YouTube channel. If you don't know me, hello, my name is Sharon and I am a legacy-free Nia main with over 8,000 hours in Dead by Daylight. Thank you so much for being here and watching the video. On this YouTube channel, we do videos featuring montages, gameplay, guides, and like today's video, tier list. We're going to be making a tier list based on the survivors' teachables, which survivor has the best teachables vs which survivor has the worst teachables. Of course, we're going to be rating the survivors on the average of all 3 teachables instead of rating each singular perk, because that would simply take too much time. So yeah, we're going to take the average of their ratings and put them in the tier list. I hope you're excited to watch, and let's get started with the video. So if you look at the list and the survivor portraits, it actually looks like the person who made this made it into the release order of the survivors, which is actually really cool. I'm not 100% certain, and I'm not gonna Google because I'm too lazy, but it looks like it's in the actual order of when each survivor got released. So that's a pretty cool little detail. It won't really help us in any way, shape, or form. It won't really make or break anything, but I think it's cool and quite a nice detail, if I may say so myself. Let's start with our boy Dwight. So Dwight's teachables are Bond, Prove Thyself, and Leader. All the perks that Dwight have are very orientated towards your teammates. Bond will show you the auras of each teammate if you're in a certain range. Prove Thyself will increase repair speed on survivors, and Leader will increase any other thing that you can do in the game, opening chests quicker, breaking totems quicker, healing others, etc, etc. So they revolve around your teammates a lot, which I mean, you know, it kind of depends on how you are as a player. I'm a team player, but I don't hog my teammates as much, so like for me the perks have a little bit less of a benefit. I think Bond, I don't need to know where everyone is. Prove Thyself, I don't like using Prove Thyself, even though Prove Thyself is a decent perk. I don't like to use it because I feel like generators already go fast enough in this game, and I don't like using perks that increase it even more. But Prove Thyself is probably the, well, together with Bond, they're probably the better ones. Like Leader's kind of dog shit after they gutted it after the nerf, which by the way, Leader needed a nerf because Prove Thyself and Leader became like some sort of a meta, and it became too strong. So it made sense why they separated Leader and Prove Thyself. But overall, I would say that Dwight, for me personally, belongs in C tier, maybe B, but I'm gonna give it a C for now. I think the perks for me aren't that useful, and I don't think they're that great. I mean, Bond is nice and whatever, and Prove Thyself can be strong, but I'd rather not use Prove Thyself as the generators already go fast enough. So I'm gonna put Dwight as a C tier survivor for now on the teachables, and maybe we'll change it throughout the video, but for now, C tier it is. So next survivor is Meg, and I used to be a Meg main. I love Meg, and her perks are more survival perks. You have Quick and Quiet, Sprint Burst, and Adrenaline. Quick and Quiet, when it is up, it lets you vault quickly but stealthy. Like the killer doesn't get a notification when you fast vault a pallet, a window, you jump into a locker. Killer doesn't hear anything, which is really nice. Sprint Burst, obviously, when it's activated and you start running, it gives you a sprint burst for X amount of seconds. And Adrenaline, when all the 5 generators, or when the last generator is activated, you get a little bit of a sprint burst. And if you are a health state down, you get a health state return to you. So let's say you are on the ground, you get up, you are hurt, you get fully health. And same if you're hooked, then you get insta healed off the hook when you get unhooked. So they're more survival based. Adrenaline used to be super meta, not really anymore. It's still a good perk for when you play survival with friends, but as a solo queuer, I wouldn't really recommend it. I use Quick and Quiet every day. I love the perk, it's great. It helps you in chases, it helps you lose the killer, it helps you perform stealth jukes. And Sprint Burst, I use Sprint Burst a lot too. I switch between Dead Art and Sprint Burst. Sprint Burst is great too. One of the one of the best exhaustion perks in my personal opinion. Yeah, I'm gonna throw Meg in S tier. She's great. I think all her teachables are great. Adrenaline, well, a little bit less, but still an amazing perk if you know, if it works and if you survived friends, it's great. I think she has really good perks, and I always recommend people to level her up when they first start this game. So yeah, S tier on Meg, no doubt in my mind. Next up is Claudette. Claudette's perks are a lot about healing yourself, healing teammates. You have empathy, you have botany knowledge, and you have self-care. I used to actually switch from Meg to Claudette and became a Claudette main for a while, because self-care was one of the strongest perks in the games, and I didn't know about teachables back then. So yeah, I definitely did Meg for a while and went to Claudette because self-care was just so strong. Unfortunately, we kind of exist in a meta right now where self-caring isn't the most ideal. You have other perks to make self-caring easier, better, more pleasant, more fun. So I feel like Claudette perks, even though they were really good at the time, they aren't anymore. Empathy allows you to like see auras of hurt survivors in an X amount of range. Botany knowledge increases your healing speed and the healing item efficiently by a certain percentage, and self-care allows you to self-care whenever you want, wherever you want, as long as you are hurt. Good perks in 2016, not the best right now. I'm gonna give it a B, because I still think if you are newer to the game, self-care is sufficient and good, because how longer you are in the game, how more you learn. And you know, newer people are often afraid to look around for other people to get a heal off, and they run away from the hook, so they don't really get healed off hook. So I still will say that self-care is a good perk for newer people, but honestly, empathy and botany knowledge, they just don't do it anymore, and neither does self-care in the higher ranks. So I'm gonna give it a B tier. I don't think they're absolutely amazing, but I still do think they're better than Dwight. So yeah, B tier for now. Perhaps I will get back on that, but yeah, we're going with B tier. And then we have Jake. I would say Jake perks are a little bit more stealthy orientated. You have Iron Will, you have Calm Spirit, and you have Saboteur. Iron Will allows you to not make a single sound when you're hurt, like your character doesn't moan. It's great. Calm Spirit makes it so you do not alert crows when you walk past them. And Saboteur allows you to sabotage hooks when you're near them. And yeah, they're interesting perks. Iron Will, still one of the best perks in the game. Hands down, amazing. But unfortunately, after that, it kind of goes downwards. Calm Spirit, no one uses it. It's dog shit. And Saboteur, honestly, in my personal opinion, it's still dog shit. I'd rather bring a toolbox if I want to sabotage. I mean, ideally you would like both, but you know what I mean. They're not useful perks at all. So yeah, apart from Iron Will, Jake doesn't really have great teachables in my personal experience and opinion. But I'm gonna give Jake A, because Iron Will is that strong that I think it does bump him up on the list very high. I wouldn't say he is S tier because Meg just has all her perks are pretty solid and Jake only has one perk. But because Iron Will is being so strong, I still think Jake deserves an A. So yeah, that's an A for me on the teachables of Jake. And then we arrive at my own main, which is Nia. Nia's perks are a little bit stealthy, sneaky, survival-ish themed as well. We have Balanced Landing, we have Urban Evasion, and we have Streetwise. Balanced Landing allows you to get a sprint burst after you fall from a certain height. Urban Evasion allows you to crouch and move around faster. And Streetwise reduces the charges by 15% on your items. As much as I love Nia, I actually think her perks are awful, especially after the Balanced Landing nerf, which her Balanced Landing was always Nia's best perk, even though I never liked it. I never really used it because it's too rare to find somewhere where you can jump off from. It's too situational, but it was her best perk. but they gutted it. It's gone. Much needed, by the way. Let me clarify that. It was needed, but it's gone. No one uses it anymore. It's kind of trash, and if you use it, I'm sorry. But yeah, Nia's perks are actually dreadful. I would say the best perk right now is Urban Evasion, and it's more of a newer perk. It's more of a stealth perk, which a lot of the DBD community is not about. So I'm gonna drag Nia to C, but I actually really want to put her in D. So I might get back on that later on as we fill up the chart. But yeah, DC, that's... oh, not intentional, by the way. But yeah, CD, it's where CD's nuts. No, I'm joking. No, C or D is where she belongs. Might get back on the D or C part, but for now we'll put her in C, but she might even go to D, honestly, with these teachables. Then we have arrived to the first licensed chapter of Dead by Daylight, which is Laurie. Laurie's teachables are very survival-ish as well. I mean, I assume most people perks are, because, you know, this is a survival game, but not the point. Her perks are Soul Survivor, Object of Obsession, and Decisive Strike. Decisive Strike allows you to stab a killer after being unhooked, and when he grabs you on his shoulders again within the first minute of you getting unhooked. Soul Survivor gives you tokens, and that disrupts killers' aura's reading ability if they have a perk like barbecue and chili and such. An Object of Obsession reveals the killer's aura to you, and the aura of you is get revealed to him, and you get like a little percentage bonus of doing like healing and such. And yeah, the perks are trash, honestly. I mean, Decisive Strike, don't get me wrong, Decisive Strike, one of the best perks in the game according to majority of the Dead by Daylight community. It's one of the most used perks. It is a really good perk. I don't use it myself. I think it's overrated, but I can't say that objectively it's not a good perk. It is objectively a good perk. I prefer using other perks. But apart from that, Laurie doesn't really have much going for her. Object is trash after its nerf, and Soul Survivor has never been good. I don't know what they were thinking of Soul Survivor. But yeah, Decisive Strike, honestly, the only perk worth mentioning. So I'm debating between B and A. Do I think Decisive Strike is better than Self-Care? Because Claudette only has one good perk also, and Laurie does, and I do think that's the case. So I'm gonna give her a same reason for Jake. Decisive Strike on Laurie, like Laurie's Decisive Strike is just so good, same as Jake's Iron Will, then it would be, I don't think it's comparable with Claudette's Self-Care. But I also don't think it's too good to be put in S. So I'm gonna put it in A, because the other two perks are trash and Decisive Strike is pretty good. So yeah, A it is. And then we come to the black sheep of them all. Ace, 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 ace. Where did it go wrong with you? I do not know. But yeah, we got Ace, and I honestly, do I even need to explain? I hate Ace. Goodbye, Ace. Ace is D tier, both look-wise, character-wise, teachable-wise. Yuck. Everyone knows that I hate Ace with a passion. He is my most hated survivor. But to follow this YouTube video through, let's just get it over with. His teachables are open-handed, up the ante, and Ace in the hole. Open-handed allows you to increase your aura reading perks by, I don't know, 10 meters. Up the ante allows you to get like an extra bonus luck percentage of every survivor that's still alive. And Ace in the hole allows you to get add-ons from a chest when you loot, and you know, sometimes you get better add-ons and sometimes you get basic add-ons, but that's it. Dog shit, all of them are bad. The only one that's semi-relatively good, and it's honestly still really bad, is Ace in the hole. Open-handed, why? You can't even use it alone. You have to have an aura perk with you. Up the ante, why do you care about the small percents of extra Kobe chance? And ugh, no. And Ace in the hole, it's still not worth running. It really is not. And any perk that you need another perk for to make it beneficial or good is, in my opinion, not a good perk. And honestly, his perks are so bad. He's bad, the character's bad, the lore is bad. I actually have never read their lore, so I don't know. But the teachables are bad. It's bad. It's D tier. I don't think there's a worse survivor in this game than Ace, like teachable wise. And that can give me so much hatred. But yeah, Ace, D tier, dog shit. Dog shit. Do I have to say it again? Dog shit perks. So yeah, there's that. Not a fan. I'm sorry to all the Ace mains out there, but I'm not really sorry if I'm being honest. End of the Ace chapter. Then you have Bill, and I love Bill as a character. I'm a big Left 4 Dead 2 fan, and his teachables are Left Behind, Borrow Time, and Unbreakable. Left Behind allows you to see the hatch within a certain range when you're the last person alive. Borrow Time allows you to unhook a survivor, and that survivor gets a Borrow Time status that when they get hit off the hook by the killer, they do not go down. And Unbreakable allows you to pick yourself up from the ground when being slugged. Yeah, Bill is a really good character. Highly recommend getting Bill. Highly recommend leveling up Bill. Board Time is S tier. Unbreakable is S tier. Even though I don't use Unbreakable, if I'm being honest, I never use it. I think it's too situational, but it is a really good perk. And Left Behind is not bad, honestly. I don't hate Left Behind. Is it worth running a perk that only helps you in 10% of your games because often you're not going to be the last person alive for the hatch? Probably not, but it's not a bad concept and it's not a bad perk. So honestly, Bill would be S tier. Bill's perks are good. 2 out of 3 at least, and even the third one, which is Left Behind, is pretty decent. So yeah, Bill is joining Meg on the S tier because he just has a really good perk sets, and yeah, they're great. So S tier it is. Then we have the cute little Fang. Fang's perks are kind of all over the place. You have Technician, you have Life, and you have Alert. I think Fang, until now, is a character with all 3 perks that are good. Not amazing, not insanely strong, just decently good. Technician, if you blow up a skill check on the generator or healing, the generator doesn't make a sound for a killer, so the killer doesn't know you blew up the generator. Life, if you vault a certain place like a window or a pallet, you get a speed boost if it's up. And Alert alerts you when a killer performs a breaking action, such as breaking a pallet, revealing their aura to you. They're all good perks. They are all good perks. Like, they're not the best perks, they're not the meta perks, but they're good perks. Technician is good for newer survivors. Alert is good if you like to know where the killer is at all times, or oftentimes I should say. And Life is just a decent exhaustion perk. Like, it's not the best, not the worst, it's good. So I'm feeling a little bit conflicted with Fang. Do I want to give her S tier because all of her perks are pretty good? Or do I want to give her A tier because she doesn't, like, you know, her perks aren't amazing. So I'm feeling a little bit conflicted at that. I think I'm gonna put her in A. I feel like A doesn't make sense because Laurie and Jake only have 1 good perk and they're in A. But I also don't feel like S makes sense because I feel like Meg and Bill have better perks than Fang. So I'm gonna put it in A for now, but once again, we might get back onto that. But yeah, I think A is a pretty good placement for her teachables because they're all good perks. They're not the most amazing perks, but they're just good. So that's for Fang for now. And then we are arriving to David. David's perks are We Are Gonna Live Forever, Dead Hard, and No Miter. Now, We're Gonna Live Forever gives you stacks for performing a certain action, like taking a hit for a hurt survivor or unhooking, and each stack gives you bonus blood points. Dead Hard, if you're hurt and you press the ability button, you dash forward. During that dash, the killer cannot hit you. If correct, I get hit through it a lot of the times, but you know, haha, I'm not sour about that at all. And No Miter doesn't allow you to heal up. You are forever broken and hurt in the game, but it gives you some perks like 90% Iron Will, free Unbreakable, and you don't drop any blood on the ground. overall, I think David's perks are pretty good. I don't like We're Gonna Live Forever, but it's a good perk. A lot of people use it, especially if you want to level up quicker, you want to gain blood points quicker as a survivor. As survivor, blood point gain is pretty bad. That are one of the best perks in the game, hands down, always used, amazing perk. And no matter, I mean, what to say about no matter? It's kind of, you know, bleh. It's not great. It's pretty dog shit for multiple reasons. But, you know, one really good perk, one decent perk, and one trash perk. I think it's hard. I think it belongs in A as well. Same reason for Jake and Laurie. He has one meta perk and the other perks are, well, one bad perk and the other perk is decent if you like blood points. So I think A is justified. He's just not up there on Mac and Bill for me personally. But yeah, I'm gonna put him in A. We shall see if he stays there. Then we arrived at the hottie, or the transformed hottie as I should say, Quentin. Quentin has the Teacherables Wake Up, Pharmacy, and Vigil. Wake Up allows you to see the exit gate's auras, and when you're opening it, your aura is revealing to other survivors within a certain range, so they know you're opening the exit gate there. Pharmacy, you unlock chests quicker, less noisy, so quieter, and you, for the first time you search a chest, you get a purple medkin. No, a green one. I think it's green. Yeah, I think it's green. Green one. And Vigil allows you to recover from, you and your allies recover from certain effects in the game, such as blindness, broken state, exhaustion, etc, etc. Honestly, I think Quentin belongs in C tier. He doesn't have, his perks are pretty garbage. I wouldn't say they're as bad as Ace's perks, but I honestly don't think anyone can top that. Not going on the Ace hate again, I promise. But yeah, I think they're C tier. I don't think they're worth getting. I don't think they're worth using. Slightly better than Ace's perks, so that's why I'm putting them in C. But yeah, C tier it is for me, and I don't think I'm gonna change my mind on that. Then we have Tap. Tap's teachables are Tenacity, Detective Hunch, and Stakeout. Tenacity allows you to crawl 44% faster and recover at the same time. Detective Hunch reveals generators, totems, and chests if a generator is fixed. And Stakeout gives you a token for every time you are an X amount of seconds in the killer's heartbeat. And each token, when consumed, when you get a skill check and you don't hit the great skill check, it turns into a great skill check with the token. Best perk, Tenacity. It's handy in certain situations. It definitely can be great. Detective Hunch is pretty decent too. I actually quite like Detective Hunch, especially because totems sometimes are really hard to find. So Detective Hunch is pretty great too. Stakeout, garbage, don't even want to talk about it. Useless. What's the point of it? I don't really know. But yeah, Stakeout, no. But the rest of them are pretty decent, which makes me kind of want to put it in B tier. But do I think Tenacity and Detective Hunch are better than the perks of Dwight, Nia, and Quentin? Yes, I do. I don't think they're the best. Like, I don't think his perks are better than Jake or Mac, but I think, yeah, he's pretty much on the same level as Claudette. Pretty nice. 2 out of 3 perks are pretty decent. I don't really use them, but they're nice. So yeah, B tier it is. And then we have the lovely Kate, and her perks are Dance With Me, Windows of Opportunity, and Boil Over. Dance With Me, hide your sprint marks for an X amount of seconds when you fast vault, or leave a locker during sprint. Windows of Opportunity shows you the auras of pallets, breakable walls, and vaults. And Boil Over increases your chance to mess with the killer when you are like wiggling off his shoulder, like he bumps into things more often, and it's a heavier wiggle, so to speak, I guess you can call it. Not much to talk about. If you're a massive stealth player, Dance With Me can be nice, but honestly only really paired with like Life or Quick and Quiet in my own opinion. Windows of Opportunity since the buff, amazing perk, highly recommend using it, especially if you're newer to the game. Amazing perk. And boil over is bad. I mean, wiggling is really bad in Dead by Daylight nowadays, so like please don't use a perk that increases your wiggling or makes it better, I guess, so to speak, makes it for a better experience. But yeah, Windows of Opportunity is a really good perk, and I'm kind of tempted to put her in A because it's a really good perk. Even though Dance With Me and Boil Over are really bad, and I would say they're C tier, is Windows strong enough to bump it up to A? Is my question. Because I would say, like, it's stronger than Tap's perk, but is it better than Self-Care? Honestly, yeah. Windows is really good. I highly recommend using it if you're newer or you just don't have really the time to remember the layouts of the maps, or you play with randoms and you often come across like dead zones. You avoid all of that with Kate's perk, Windows of Opportunity. So yeah, A tier for me, purely of Windows. I know we said that we would like take the average of the perks, but you also have to kind of consider the value of the perks, right? Like, sure, Dance With Me and Boil Over are kind of low tier, but Windows is that good that I think it knocks it up a little bit for me personally. So that's what I'm kind of rating them all off on. So Kate, A tier for me, purely based on Windows, and the other perks, I mean, they're not, I guess, the worst. So yeah, A tier it is. So on to Adam. Adam's perks make my heart ache because I truly think his perks are really good. If behavior didn't miss the spot on them, like there's just a little things off with each perk that prevents it from being good and actually usable, and that just makes me sad. Because it makes me sad because I know behavior's probably never gonna change these perks. But his teachables are Diversion, aka the Pebble, Deliverance, and Autodidact. Diversion allows you to throw a rock anywhere into the direction you choose to, and it will act like a survivor blew up a skill check or fast vaulted a locker, so it can distract the killer. Deliverance allows you to guarantee Kobe when you are on the hook if you've unhooked someone prior to being hooked, and Autodidact allows you to collect stacks from hitting skill checks when you heal a survivor, and after you've reached a certain stacks after you reach a certain stacks and you hit a skill check on a survivor when healing them, there's a bigger percent, like a cut of the healing instantly done. The Pebble, I was so excited for this perk, but the fact that you have to charge it up in a killer's heartbeat, the fact that you have to crouch and stand still, it just kind of sucks. Like, it would be cool if it has its own unique cooldown, and it would be cool if you could actually walk whilst throwing it, stuff like that. I think that would make the perk a lot better. Deliverance, I mean, if you get found first, or don't even get an unhook, you don't even have to be found first, but if you just don't get an unhook, the entire perk is useless. I think the perk, its concept is great, but I think there needs to be something else added onto Deliverance. And the other day on stream I was talking about it and I had an idea on what they should do, but I don't remember anymore. So throw down in the comment section what you think they should do on Deliverance, because I forgot my idea. But yeah, Deliverance, it needs something else. It needs something else to make it still usable when you can't get the Kobe off. And Autodidact, I mean, Autodidact is a nice idea, but how often are you really gonna be healing your teammates? At least I don't often heal my teammates, as like if I think it's not appropriate for the game state. And I mean, sometimes you don't even get skill checks throughout the entire healing process. So I feel like if they were to include that all the Autodidact would trigger skill checks more frequently, then I think it would be better. I think Autodidact would actually be usable. But for the way how it's now, you often don't even get to the max stacks if you use it, because there's just not that much healing into the game. A lot of people heal themselves, and yeah, I think little changes per each perk, and these perks could all be really great. So I think I'm gonna throw Adam in B tier, purely because I think the perks right now are decent, but I think he could actually end up in A tier if the perks were a little bit better, if they would just slightly change those perks. But for now, B tier it is. I don't think they're as bad as C or D, but yeah, I don't think they're as good as A and S as well, so B tier it is. And then we have my man Jeff. Jeff's perks are Breakdown, Aftercare, and Distortion. Breakdown, anytime you get off the hook breaks. So the killer, if he downs you or downs someone else, he can't hook the person there. Which is great in concept, but considering the hooks, there are hooks all around each other. So, I mean, it wastes a little bit of time of the killer, I suppose, but I wouldn't say it's great. Aftercare, if you rescue someone off the hook or complete a healing, you see each other's auras for the rest of the trial until you get hooked. And Distortion, you start the trial with 3 tokens, and the tokens are consumed when the killer pops an aura based perk such as barbecue and chili, and then you lose a token when that happens. So the killer can't see your aura, but your token gets consumed. Overall, I kind of gotta put him in C, dude. Like, the perks are just mediocre. They're not as bad as A's because, once again, nobody perks are, I'm pretty sure, but they're just not good. They're not useful. They're not great. They're not viable. C tier it is. I'm sorry, Jeff. Love you loads, but you belong in the C tier. And then next you have the upcoming big booty queen Jane. Jane's perks are Solidarity, Poised, and Head-On. Solidarity, when you are healing a survivor without a medkit, it transfers 40% of the heal onto you. So if you're both hurt, your healing is up to 40%. You're healing yourself basically up to 40% as well. So I mean, I guess it's nice. Poised, after a generator is complete, you leave no scratch marks for 6 seconds. And Head-On, if you're in a locker for X amount of seconds and you jump out fastly whilst there's a killer in front, you stun the killer, which is a fun perk. That is definitely the best perk out of Jane's collection, I would say. Solidarity, great in concept, just not really viable. Like, it's just not as good as any other perk, so why use it? Poised, I mean, Poised is a nice concept. I kind of like Poised as a concept. I do wish that it was a little bit longer than 6 seconds. I think that would make it a little bit better. But as DBD has issues with scratch marks right nowadays, I don't think that would be a good idea because killers will reach at that. But yeah, overall, Head-On is the best perk that Jane offers, but honestly, I don't think Head-On is really viable without Quick and Quiet. And as I said previous in the video, any perk that isn't viable on its own is not a great perk. So I'm gonna put Jane in B tier as well. Simply because, once again, not as good as A and S, not as bad as C and D. Head-On is nice, it's fun to mess around with, and you know, Quick and Quiet is a good perk, so mixing it with Head-On is not a bad idea. But yeah, the other 2 perks are trash, kinda not great, and Head-On isn't as great as, I would say, Iron Will or Decisive Strike is. So B tier it is for the lovely Jane. And then you have Ashley. Ashley's perks are Flip Flop, Buckle Up, and Medal of Ben. Flip Flop, when you are in the dying state on the ground, your recover progression by 50% is transferred into wiggle progression. So if you get picked up, your wiggle bar is further along. Buckle Up, if you heal someone off the ground, you and the survivors see the killer's aura. And Medal of Ben, if you have collected free protection hit stacks, the next hit you take that supposedly would put you into the dying state, aka on the ground, from the injured state, it will ignore that. So you basically get a free life after free protection stacks, so to speak. Honestly, I don't think they're like worth it at all. Medal of Ben used to be the strongest perk, but it got nerfed and now it's dog shit. Rightfully so, perk was too strong. I'm not saying it shouldn't have been nerfed, but let's be real, the perk is now garbage, and you know, it's fair, it's fine. I don't mind it. I wasn't using it anyways, but honestly, none of the perks really have value. I guess out of all the perks, Flip Flop would be the best, but I don't think slugging is super common, at least not in my own experience. So I'm gonna put Adam, no, not Adam, Ashley. I'm gonna put Ashley in C because I just don't think any of his perks are worth running. They're not good, but not as bad as A's. Haha, finger guns. But yeah, C tier it is for Ashley. Now we're coming up to the 2 legacy survivors, Nancy and Steve. And officially, Nancy and Steve do not have any teachables anymore. They are global perks because they're not in the game anymore. At least you can't purchase them. So Behavior made them global perks so everyone can get them. But for the sake of this video, we're just gonna raid the original teachable perks of those 2 characters because why none? And let's start with Nancy. Her perks were Better Together, Fixated, and Inner Strength. So Fixated is called Self-Aware now. Better Together is Situational Awareness. And the last perk, which is Inner Strength, is Inner Healing, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know why they changed the names, but they're still the same concept. Inner Healing or Inner Strength is if you cleanse a totem and you hop in a locker, X amount of seconds in the locker, voila, you're healed when you're hurt. Very nice. Better Together or Situational Awareness is if you're working on a generator, the generator is revealed to all survivors within a certain range. And Fixated, aka Self-Aware, is you can see your own scratch marks at all times and you walk 20% faster. Now, I actually really like Nancy's perks. Do I think they are the best perks in the game? No, but I think all the perks are really, really nice. They're solid perks, and because all the perks are really good and really nice, I think I'm gonna and pretty useful. I think I'm gonna put Nancy in A tier, honestly. Do I regret that? Will I regret that decision? Maybe. I mean, I think Inner Strength is a really good perk and it's often used. Fixated or Self-Aware and Situational Awareness aren't really used, but I still think they're good enough. So I think Nancy, honestly, can be A tier or B tier, but I'm gonna put her in A because I think, yeah, I'm gonna put her in A for now. So we go with that for now at least. Same goes for Steve, but we will go along with it just for the video. His perks were Babysitter, Camaraderie, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, and Second Wind, which have turned into Kinship, Renewal, and Guardian. Renewal is if you are off the hook, like once you get unhooked, it activates for 20 seconds or X amount of seconds. You cannot heal yourself and you're broken. And as soon as that time is over, you get instantly healed. Then you have Kinship, with if a survivor is within an X amount of range of you being hooked, your hook pulsar stops. And then you have Guardian, which is when you unhook a survivor, the person who gets unhooked doesn't leave scratch marks or pools of blood for an X amount of seconds. And I think they also kind of get a sprint burst off the hook, but I might be wrong with that, but I think that's the case too. Now unfortunately, this is not as great as Nancy. I think all of his perks are pretty mediocre, not that useful, not that great. I don't think they're the worst either. So for the sake of the fact that I don't think they're the worst but not the best, I'm gonna put them in B tier. Because objectively speaking, because I really do think they're better than the people in C tier. I think, I mean, yeah, B tier, they're not great, they're not the worst. Maybe C tier, I'm doubting, but I'm gonna put them in B tier for now. Then we have arrived at the badassue. Use perks are Lucky Break, Any Means Necessary, and Breakout. Lucky Break, if it activates once you are hurt, you do not leave any blood or scratch marks for a total of 40 seconds. So after 40 seconds, the entire perk is empty and cannot be used again throughout the entire trial. Any Means Necessary, if a pallet is dropped, you can push it back upwards if it's not broken. And Breakout, when you are of a certain range of a survivor who's wiggling, they wiggle faster. You get like a little bit of a boost with your running, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, those are her perks. I had high hopes for Lucky Break, man. I had high hopes, but it's not worth it, because if you get, like, let's walk with me down this path real quick. Once you get slept, the chance of you getting left for 40, like after that instantly, is very low, right? So 9 out of 10 times your lucky break is gonna be completely used whilst you're being chased, and it's not gonna be super useful unless you have an entire stealth kit, which, I mean, if you use it for that, fair enough. And even if the killer leaves you, then you have two options. Either let it run out and it be absolutely useless because no one will see your scratch marks and blood anyways because the killer is not on you, or heal, which takes like, what, 20 seconds? So half of your perk is still gone. So like, great concept, poor execution, but I'm also thinking if they were to buff it, it would probably be too strong. So I don't think they can do a lot with it. I mean, any means necessary is nice, but often killers break pallets, so is it really worth it? And breakout, I don't like breakout at all. Overall, do I think they're worse than Nia's and Dwight's and Quentin's perk? No, I don't. I guess I will put her in B tier. I do think they're better than their, like, the C tier perks. So B tier it is. Wouldn't use any of her perks. Not great, but still not the worst, I suppose. And then we have Serena. I don't know why, but I really like Serena. Maybe because she reminds me a lot of Nia. I just like the style. She comes across badass. Not the point. Serena, off the record, red herring, and for the people. So for the people, actually, when it first came out, became a little bit of a meta perk. People started using it combined with Tethered a lot, but it kind of fell off real quick. For the people, if you don't know, if you heal someone and you press the ability button on them, that person gets a health state transferred from you. So you can only use it when you are full health. But yeah, it's pretty nice for when you want to get a teammate instantly up and you have Dead Art and you want to dash, you know, dash away, and you can pull off some really cool jukes with for the people. That's all I will say. Red herring, if you repair a generator for X amount of seconds and you jump in a locker, the generator explodes, so you can pull fun mind games. And off the record, once you're unhooked or escape from the hook, it activates, and your aura will not be shown to the killer, and the grunts of pain will be completely muted for approximately 60 seconds. I mean, out of all her perks, I would say For the People's the best, but is it really good? I'm gonna put Serena in B tier too. I think her perks are, you know, they're okay. You can pull some fun things off it. They're not the worst. I think they're not worse than C or D, but I think they're not better than A and S as well. And I feel like that goes for a majority of the survivors from now on. But yeah, B tier it is. And let's get going with the others. So we have arrived to Cheryl, and I don't like Cheryl. She looks like a drug addict, but that's beside the point. Her perks are Soul Guard, Blood Pact, and Repressed Alliance. Soul Guard, if you get healed from the dying state, aka you're on the ground, or you recover yourself through Unbreakable, you gain like an endurance status for an X amount of seconds, meaning if you do get hit, it's like a board time effect. You don't go down. It gives you the board time status, so that's done. You have Blood Pact, that if you complete a healing action on the obsession, you both will gain a 5% like an X amount of percentage haste status, and unless you're in, like, when you're in a range of each other. Ugh, I cannot express how dumb this perk is. And Repressed Alliance, when it is activated, you can block off a generator. So let's say you really don't want the killer to kick the generator with Pop Goes the Weasel, and you have your Repressed Alliance up. Boom, close it off, killer can't kick it, move on with your day for 40 seconds, and hopefully he doesn't go back once it runs out. I mean, Blood Pact is such a bad perk. Such a bad perk. Like, ugh. I cannot express how dumb Blood Pact is. Repressed Alliance, I mean, it's fun, I guess. It can be funny, but I really don't see much use out of it. Without a doubt, Soul Guard is the best, but is it really that amazing? I know a lot of people are like fans of Soul Guard, and I think Soul Guard can be really good, but I'm putting her in C tier. I'm sorry, I don't like the Teachables. I think they're really bad. All of them, even Soul Guard is too situational and too rare. And yeah, I'm putting her in C tier. I'm sorry if you like Cheryl's perks, but Yeah, I don't. So C tier it is. And we have arrived to the German hottie. And Phoenix has free perks called Visionary, Desperate Measures, and Built to Last. Visionary, you see generators auras in 32 meters, I'm pretty sure. It is turned off when you finish a generator, but yeah, you see all the auras if you're in a certain range until you finish a gen, and then it's turned off for a little bit. Sees Desperate Measures. For each injured, hooked, or dying survivor, you increase your healing and unhook speed by a certain percentage, and Build to Last recharges your items if they're empty and you go to a locker. So I mean, that's that. Take it as you will. I guess out of all these perks, I would say Visionary is the best. I would say Visionary, if you're a newer person, I would say it's pretty good. But apart from that, Desperate Measures and Built to Last, I mean, I don't like them all. I don't think they're all great. I don't think they're great, honestly. But I do think they're better than C or D, so I'm gonna put them in B. Even though I don't think they're as good as B tier, but I also don't think they're as bad as C tier, so B tier it is, even though it feels a little bit weird because I honestly don't think the perks are that great. But yeah, B tier for now. Might change, but B tier for now. And then we arrive at the beautiful Elodie. I know I pronounced her name wrong, I apologize, but her perks are Appraisal, Deception, and Power Struggle. Appraisal, you start a trial with tokens and you can basically go through a chest more than once, as many tokens as you have, which is free time. So basically each chest you can search through twice with Appraisal, like one time normal and one time using a token. Deception, if you are running past the locker, you can press the ability button and the locker will open up and close and make a sound like someone jumped in, so you can like throw the killer off and mind game him. And Power Struggle, if you manage to wiggle 35% and the killer walks through a pallet when you're on his shoulder, you can drop the pallet. So you can basically pallet save yourself if you have Power Struggle and you're 35% wiggled. Honestly, unless you really love looting or you love mind gaming killers with deception, it's not really worth it. I mean, Power Struggle is a nice idea, but often you won't even get to 35% wiggle time because the hooks are always so close, and even then when you do, killers don't really walk through pallets because they're scared of being pallet stunned, so it's just not worth it in my own opinion. I will give it B tier because once again, I think they're fun perks. They're not as trash, but I don't think they're great either. So B tier it is in my personal opinion. Then we have Yoonjin, which has the following perks: Fast Track, Smash Hit, and Self-Preservation. Fast Track, when another survivor is hooked, you gain a token and you consume all the tokens you've gained after a great skill check on a generator, and each token grants you like an X amount of percentage bonus progression for a great skill check. So basically, normally when you hit a great skill check, it gives you a little increase on the generator, and Fast Track basically increases that increase. So, you know, that's done. Smash Hit, when you stun a killer and Smash Hit is active, you break into a sprint burst of I don't know how much, and you basically have sprint burst when you stun a killer, basically. And Self-Preservations is when a survivor is within an X amount of range of you and they get hit by a killer, your scratch marks, pools of blood, and grunts of pain are hidden for 6 seconds. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I mean, Smash Hit is nice, but I'm gonna put her in C tier because Fast Track is dog shit. Self-Preservation is bad, and honestly, Smash Hit is not that great either. Like, the fact that you have to get a stun, and often killers respect the pallets, especially in lower ranks, and yeah, I would say C. I mean, Smash Hit is obviously the better one, but I would throw it in the C because honestly, they're not great. So C it is. And then we have the lovely Jill, and her perks are Counter Force, Resurgence, and Blast Mine. Counter Force cleanses totems faster, and it shows you the furthest away totem's aura, so you know where a totem is. Resurgence, you gain a 40% healing progress after being unhooked or unhooking yourself. And Blast Mine is when you have done the requirements that Blast Mine requires you to do, you can basically place a booby trap on the generator, and when a killer kicks it, he gets like stunned and blinded and you know, a slight little stun. Her perks aren't that bad, I would say. Honestly, B tier again. I don't think they're great, but I don't think they're bad either. So like, they're nice. Like, Counter Force is nice if you like doing totems. Resurgence, I would say that's probably the worst perk of Jill, but it's still not as bad. And Blast Mine is fun. It's a little giggle you can have. So I would say B on Jill. And then we have arrived to Mr. Leon, and Mr. Leon comes with a Bite the Bullet, Flashbang, and Rookie Spirit. Bite the Bullet, if you are healing someone, you and that person make no noise whatsoever, including grunts of pain if you fail a skill check. And when you fail a skill check, the regression is less than normal. So like when you heal someone and you fail a skill check, normally you know you regress some of the progress, and it happens less if you use Bite the Bullet. Flashbang, if it's activated, you can collect a flashbang from a locker. It's basically a grenade that blinds a killer if he looks into it when you drop it onto the ground. And Rookie Spirit, if you complete 5 good or great skill checks when repairing a generator, it is on for the rest of the trial, and once it's active, you can see the auras of regressing generators. So, I'm gonna be honest. I mean, Flashbang is obviously the most fun and best perk. And the other ones, I mean, they're not bad. So, I mean, I think it's in B again, because I don't think they're as bad as C and D. I know I keep saying that, but it truly is the case for me. Like, they're not as bad, but they're not as good. So, a nice middle ground of B is where, for me, his teachables belong. And now we are at the last 2 survivors of this tier list, which is Michaela and Jonah. If you're still here, thank you so much for making it through to almost the entire video. I really appreciate it. I hope you've been enjoying it. Thank you so much. But let's get going with Michaela. Michaela introduced the boon totems to us. Her perks are Boon Circle of Healing, Boon Shadow Step, and Clairvoyance. Clairvoyance, if you have cleansed a totem and you have nothing in your hands for up to an X amount of seconds, you see the auras of the gates, generators, hooks, chest, and the hatch. Yeah, that's done. Boon Circle of Healing, you bless a totem, and if you're in range of that totem, you can self-care yourself or heal others faster in that circle. And boom, Shadow Stab, if you're within the meters of the boon totem, after blessing in, your scratch marks will be hidden to, and the auras will be hidden to the killer. Now I know there's this massive uproar of boon totems. I know I am very much in the minority of this, but I don't really like the boon totems. I don't think they're that great. I would say out of all these perks, the Circle of Healing is the best. And I can see its value. I just don't think it's as strong as people say. But that's my opinion. And I know I'm known to have more of a opinion that no one agrees with, I suppose you can say. So for me, I don't use them. I think the boon totems are a waste of time. And honestly, Clairvoyance and Shadow Step are blah perks. Definitely Circle of Healing is a bit stronger. I still don't use it, and I still will never use it. I still don't think it's that great, but I'm gonna put her in B tier because I think, you know, averaging it out, the other 2 are pretty trash, but the Circle of Healing is pretty nice. So, you know, I would say B tier is where I would put Michaela. Myself, I know people are gonna yell at me for that. I know people are gonna be like, no, she belongs in S tier, boon totems are OP, blah blah blah. Not in my opinion. You can have your own opinion, but yeah, this is mine. And then then the last survivor, which is Jonah. Jonah comes with the perks Overcome, Corrective Action, and Boon Exponential. Overcome: when you get hit by the killer, you normally get a sprint burst because you got hit, and Overcome pretty much extends the sprint burst, making it last longer, making you, you know, cover more ground when you're running away from the killer. Corrective Action: you start the trial with 1 token and you can earn up to 5 by hitting a great skill check. And when you have a survivor on your generator that is failing skill checks and you have a token, that skill check, that failed skill check, turns into a good skill check. So it doesn't alarm the killer, it doesn't regress your progression. Yeah, it turns it into a good skill check. And the Boon Exponential is if you are blessing the totem and you're in the range of that boon totem, you basically have free Unbreakable. Once again, I still don't care about boon totems. I have seen the Boon Exponential work once in my own matches, and I mean, maybe per match, per players, per survivor's friends, it happens more often, but I think it's pretty meh. Like, the chances of you going down in that perk or close to it that you can crawl to and then recover yourself from Unbreakable is very low. Corrective Action: I mean, if you like playing with very new players and you're great at hitting skill checks, fine, fun. I guess I suck at skill checks, so I would never touch it. Overcome is clearly the best perk and actually a really good perk. I would say Overcome is probably, in my personal opinion, the 3rd best exhaustion perk. It's pretty nice. You gain a bigger distance from the killer when you get hit. That's pretty massive. And you can also make it to loops better and easier when you get hit, so I would say it's pretty good. I'm struggling here though. Will I put it in A just because of Overcome, because Overcome is so good, or will I put it in B? I will put it in A because, you know, yeah, I think Overcome is strong enough to knock him into A, because I feel like Overcome is stronger than most of the perks that are in B, in my personal opinion. So I will put him in A. Yeah, A it is. And that is it for today's tier list. It's been a long video, so if you're still here, thank you very much. I'm exhausted making this video, but I truly hope you enjoyed it. We covered everyone's teachables, shortly explained what they are, and sometimes I've even given you examples of how they work or how I think they should be buffed. I really hope you liked the video, and maybe it even has helped you decide which survivor to unlock next. If you want, I'm kind of curious, let me know if you think there is one survivor. You have to choose one. You can write more if you want, but choose one if you can. If there's one survivor you think I've placed wrong, whether it be too high up on the list or too low, let me know. I'm curious to know your opinion as to why. So feel free to comment that down below. But for now, I'm asking you to do the things that every YouTuber always asks you to do. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. See y'all next time.